I was watching CNN News again a couple of days ago, and they were talking about the war in Libya, and they had a few people having a sort of group discussion. One of them was the chairman of the Council on Foreign Relations, and they were talking about the bombing of Libya. Now, I wouldn't have thought it was that strange for them to put a message up saying the New World Order across the screen if maybe they've been talking about Bush's announcement of the New World Order in 1991 or something to do with it. But apparently they were just having a kind of general discussion about Libya. But for about a good 10 minutes, I didn't time it, but seemed to me like at least 10 minutes, possibly even longer, there was just the words "the New World Order" written across the screen, like a kind of meme mind control message being beamed out to the world. Or maybe it's just a little hidden message for those people that have eyes to see what the war is really about. The other thing that I find quite strange about the CNN news reporting is the fact that we're continually told about the awful treatment of the Libyan people by Gaddafi. Like, I'm not supporting Gaddafi in any way. I actually admit I don't know that much about him. But the thing I find strange is that why is it that if there's so many people that have suffered so badly at his hands, family that have been tortured and stuff like this that we're told, how come the CNN reporters don't go and do an interview with one of these countless people and put that on the news to, you know, make people aware of what he's been doing? So far there hasn't been a single thing like that. The only thing that's happened is this woman who claims to have been raped loads of times, who suddenly walks into a hotel, starts screaming like crazy right in front of the camera, and gets bundled away into a car, all conveniently on camera. I just think that's another bit of fake news that's been made, to be honest. If these things have been going on for years and years and years, as we're told, go out, CNN reporters, go into the towns, talk to the people, get some interviews with these people that say, oh, my brother was tortured for years, my sister was kidnapped, blah, 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 blah. You know, historical verifiable data, okay, that we can see. Another stupid statistic that we've been told is that 70-odd% of the American people support the, basically an invasion of Libya, is what I would call it. What do they call it? I can't remember what they call it, bombing of Libya. That is a completely meaningless statistic, where knowing that probably the average American citizen and not the average European citizen probably doesn't know anything about Libyan politics, doesn't know anything about Gaddafi. So on what grounds are they supporting that invasion exactly? Have they been given a dossier of historical data about Libya and Gaddafi so that they could make that decision? I don't think so. They've just been given force-fed CNN news broadcasts. And another thing I wanted to bring up to all those moronic people who made comments on my last video saying, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a terrorist, did you remember McCarthy, what happened to the people under McCarthyism and stuff like this? Do you know what? Just go and jump off a cliff or something, do the world a favour. To those people, well, before you jump off the cliff, have a look at this, okay? Here is a Washington Post news article dated, I admit it's a little bit out of date because I couldn't find anything newer, but I see no reason why this isn't still happening. This is dated 2005, March 15th, and it's entitled "Fake News Gets White House OK." And it says, Andrea Mitchell reported that for millions of viewers, the government has found the best way to spin the news is to produce the stories itself. On issues from Medicare to farm prices, hundreds of local stations are running stories extolling Bush administration policies, reaching tens of millions of people. But all of these reports were written and distributed by the administration and its public relations firms, not by journalists. This is in the Washington Post. Christopher Lee writes in the Washington Post about the memos for the White House sent out last week, it says, insisting that it is legal for federal agencies to feed TV stations pre-packaged news stories that do not disclose the government's role in producing them. So I ask you, how many of these pre-packaged news stories have we been seeing recently about Libya? How many of them have been produced by the government and given them to CNN to show people, and not made by journalists is the important point about this. People might not realize what that means, okay? This means that this isn't journalism and it isn't news. It's a program, a TV show that's been made by the government to show the people of the world and presented as news. That's the difference. And I say again, just anyone who watches any of these news channels, just the reason I watch the news now is just to see what kind of crap they're trying to force feed the people and get them to buy. That's the only reason I watch it. I don't watch it to get news. I mean, obviously there is an element of news there because you can see stuff that is actually happening, like bombs are being dropped, earthquakes are happening, you know. But the reasons behind it and, you know, the meaning of the story is just take it with a pinch of salt. It's like watching a Hollywood movie, basically. I'm going to upload another video now, which is pretty freaky, about Nazi products like mouthwash, which you might find quite shocking. So have a look at that. And I recommend anyone as well to look up how the HARP weapon was actually used to cause the earthquake in Japan, because I've put it in my playlist. I've done CNN, actually I'll make a new playlist called Japan Crisis, and if you look in there you'll find some pretty incredible evidence that HARP was used to cause the earthquake. And this is why the Japanese actually refused help from the US for a few days before, after it happened, because they probably thought the US was going to come and do something else to screw them over. Goodbye.